Hello, friends, and welcome back to the second draft of this season of the Optimal Championship League. So happy to be here with you all as we venture on into game number 2 of this best of 3 between the bad guys and Bad Out Bunny. I thought it was Ban Out Bunny. I actually don't know
pretty
anymore.
sure it is. It is Ban Out Bunny,
Okay.
according to the rosters. It is Ban Out Bunny. According to the draft poll, it is Bad Out Bunny. I suspect that is a typo, although the N and D keys are slightly far apart on the keyboard, as you will notice if you look down at your keyboard. That being said, bans coming out. Unsurprisingly, the Zeri and Alawi both taken off the table here. So no fun split pushing on Alawi for Shangdi. Do we just see the Olaf instantly picked up here? Another equally obnoxious split pusher that nobody likes to play into?
Another champion that can also be incredibly lane dominant. I don't know. I guess we're going to have to see probably in the second half of the draft, as right now the bad guys are prioritizing going back over to a high priority jungler that's very good early on. And this time Super Swaggy is going to be on Jarvan the Fourth.
A little bit more tankier than the Lee Sin. Also does have a little bit more lockdown in the early levels. So this will pair very well with high damage laners, help get them ahead, as opposed to the Lee Sin, which has a lot more focus on getting itself ahead and snowballing early. As we see the Hecarim coming out for Stephen Hawking 69. That is very much a let's scale to 6, choice here for him. So I'm not sure how I feel about that after they lost or didn't get the leads they needed to in the early game 1.
How do you feel about the fact they're also going for an early Cassante? This has flex potential. It could be going over to Stephen Hawking 69, or excuse me, Publicist. But the thing is, Sebastian is the most likely person to pilot this pick. And I don't know how I feel about that given how strong Shangdi has proven to be.
Yeah, I mean, Cassante is definitely one of those champions that just stat dominant. Like, their mana costs are very low. Their cooldowns are very low. They have high base damages on the Cassante. So it's a very powerful champ in the early game. However, if you can get past that, if you can build around that, something that can duel it for long periods and win those fights, like, say, the Mordekaiser that just got picked up. It's on this side of the screen because my camera's flipped. That's going to be very, very problematic for Ban Out Bunny. I don't like blinding top lane here, especially when the bot lane is available. There are still so many powerful picks. The Jinx, the Lucian, not the Milio. Milio is banned out. But there are so many more high priority options that choosing to focus the Cassante is baffling to me. Just truly beyond the pale.
Like I said, it could be a flex, right? Pebbles could pilot this mid. We've seen it a few times. Showmaker was just complaining about how they desperately need to nerf Cassante, specifically because he doesn't want to have to play with or against it anymore. So that really speaks to the fact that it's so strong that you can pivot it into a mid lane role. And I think, honestly, that could be where he actually excels right now, given the fact that he has such deep impact during team fights and the like. But before we see that happen, we have to look at this next wave of bans, or perhaps bads, apparently looking at the lobby. We got Janna and Renata denied by Ban Out Bunny, and the bad guys, knowing that Master of Targon does in fact play Taric, are going to deny that alongside a Lulu.
Yeah, I'm not exactly certain that Taric is one of the highest priority supports at the moment. I think would be perfectly fine to let Taric in. I think there are, as we see Gnar, this is a very AD heavy team. I'm not thrilled about that.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird draft dynamic that kind of shows the pressure now from both teams to go for AP. Definitely a little bit more on Bad Out Bunny's side than the bad guys, who have themselves a Mordekaiser who can drain tank with their magic damage at the very least. Also, the Gnar coming through implies to me that, yeah, in fact, this was a high priority Cassante mid rather than something going topside of the map. But I don't really like the fact that this is being revealed prior to the bad guys being able to select where they're going to be placing their champions, because there is the ability to shuffle some of these picks to best be responsive to the Gnar. Maybe we're even looking at a Zed top here with a Mordekaiser into the Cassante mid. The bad guys will, in fact, grab themselves a Senna alongside that, and let's see what they're going to pair with it bot lane.
Yeah, we do see Senna Swain here, so this could be a fasting Senna or a Senna support, depending on how you claim that. Swain has been very powerful recently. We've seen the rise of some forbidden tech. If you take Font of Life as a support rune here on the Swain. Pick up an Echoes of Halia and a Rylai's Crystal Scepter. You are healing your entire team very, very rapidly as long as they auto-attack the enemy. So for the Senna, for the Zed, for the Mordekaiser, who are on the bot side of the bad guys. So I don't hate this, but still, that doesn't offer any of the AP this team needs. So the Mordekaiser, the Jarvan, and to a lesser extent the Swain are going to be able to build very easily to make sure that they take as little damage as possible here.
Could be something like a hybrid Kai'Sa. I don't know how viable that build is on her right now, but it could at least allay some of these concerns of a purely AD composition, and therefore ban out Bunny can emphasize the Hecarim's build path towards some of that high damage that we're seeing him go for. I think Ghostblade has been nerfed, but it might still be the premier mythic on this champion.
That does beg the question, though, of do you really need more damage from this team? You already have the Cassante with high base damages and with the All-Out who does plenty of damage. You already have the Gnar who builds Bruiser who does plenty of damage. You have the Kai'Sa who, even with the mixed AP-AD build, will still do plenty of AD damage. I almost feel like it would be better to see a Jack show on the Hecarim. Take the tank, accept that you're not going to be the focus, and just be a disruptor.
At the same time, though, yeah, Cassante does a lot of damage, but Cassante also tanks like crazy Aulz. And so therefore, I think that it's perfectly fine to build Hecarim semi-squishy, given that you not only have them as a front line, but you also have Gnar as a fantastic initiator. Blitzcrank has great pick potential as well. Is also just going to be building some inherent a number of stats, given the fact that you can't really access burst damage from the support role. So overall, it's less a concern about does ban out Bunny have enough damage. It's more of a question of how much damage can you pack into this team to really put the hurt onto the bad guys if they try to go for a team fight.
Yeah, I suppose. I don't feel thrilled with ban out Bunny's draft, though. I look at it and I think they could have. There are choices on the board that would have done the same things, but evened out what this team wanted to do. Like where you have the Cassante, you could have put Galio. On the Blitzcrank, you could have put something with a little bit more consistent engage. The Nautilus was available. The Leona was available. There were other choices there. I just feel like they took maybe less than the best here with their draft.
It's the case for both sides, though, to a degree. I don't know how enthusiastic I am necessarily about the fact that you're going Zed into Cassante, which kind of means that Koronic is not getting any solo kills early. And frankly, they're probably not getting any 2v1 kills early either, because it's Cassante in a short lane, so he's able to just Pathmaker halfway across that part of the map, get under the tower, and then from there, if you try to fight, he's going to all-out you, and it's going to be a disaster.
Yeah, I can buy that. That's fair. Although I suppose the bad guys draft did not have the joy of getting to listen into our stream and knowing that Cassante could have been a flex into the mid lane here.
Hey, you're saying that they themselves don't know that Cassante mid could be a flex, though? I mean, I feel that this champion is going to be a nightmare, particularly because you can high prio it and still not get counterpicked.
Fair enough. Fair enough. That being said, Nyarko, I do have a final question for you as we get through these bans and start heading, or get through the picks in lobby and start heading towards the game proper. We talked pretty negatively about both of these drafts, but I have to ask, who won the draft? Who do you think has the better draft here and the advantage heading on to the Rift for game number 2?
I'm going to be real. I think that the bad guys won this one. I was a little bit more pessimistic about their draft in game number 1, but they proved that they could just smash individual lanes. And now when you look at Ban Out Bunny's draft from behind and the potential for them to just kind of drop some value during the early game, I really don't see a way that this Blitzcrank is doing anything but delivering a high damage burst target on top of Kai'Sa for the bad guys to then start a fight off of. You hook Zed, it's all over for you, or Koronic just walks it back out, right? You hook Swain, He immediately presses R. Senna's going to fire off a covering shot with their shield. That buys enough time for Mordekaiser to run in, either knock away the Kaisa or maybe even isolate the Cassante or Hecarim, something like that. Zed, if you hook them, like I said, already craziness on the Rift. Kaisa's probably bursted. Jarvan can just Cataclysm. It just kind of feels like on that part of the map, Ban Out Bunny aren't doing enough. And I don't have the confidence that Kaisa Blitzkrieg are just going to run over the Senna Swain during the first few levels, given the fact that Pants Check was able to keep things relatively even though Stephen Hawking put a lot of pressure towards that Zeri Yumi lane in game number 1.
Yeah, I mean, the Senna's not going to have a whole lot of agency early by virtue of fairly high mana costs on the queue and a whole lot of vulnerability to the rocket grabs. I don't think Zarkor is going to have a lot of ability to get them out. But that being said, as long as they can play patient and scale up, I'm in agreement that this bot lane for Van Out Bunny is just going to be in trouble. So I would tend to agree. I think the bad guys have the better draft. However, with the kind of chaos that OCL always brings, and with the kind of chaos that the draft of Ban Out Bunny seems to want, with the all-out, with the rocket grabs, with the onslaught of shadows and the Nars, we could be seeing some great picks. We could be seeing this entire match turned on its head by Ban Out Bunny, and we could be seeing a game 3 here in our first casted match of OCL. So we'll have to get on the Rift and see what happens.
I sure would like to see that also. Let's see what's going to happen on the other side of this one. We'll see you guys then. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the OCL for game number 2 between the bad guys and Ban Out Bunny. And this is going to be quite an interesting one, as this time around, we're getting a little bit more in the way of clashes early on. Both of these teams kind of want to slam these laning phases, and therefore, this is turning into double invades, 5 stacking on the split screen. Makes a lot of sense. The bad guys wanted to answer back against it. But I wonder who's going to go deeper and stay longer. Looks right now, the bad guys, after pushing top, are going to go for the reset. But Ban Out Bunny, similarly, just going to kind of sweep and walk back out.
You say the bad guys are walking out, but I see a suspicious lack of Shangdi and Super Swaggy leaving that red buff area.
Oh, true. Yeah,
I think we're going to see another 3 buff here. Stephen Hawking just getting beaten to the buff punch here. Although, with all those wards down and the Hecarim roaming over to that red buff, I see pings going down. The Hecarim's going to be in trouble.
Yeah, at the same time, I'm kind of worried about the fact that the bad guys are going to full commit over to this red buff. And honestly, they're kind of showing onto Stephen Hawking a little bit too early here. You have to watch out for Kasante trying to get out of here, but Stephen Hawking is running under the tower. Shangdi's taking shots, and they will not be able to knock down the Ghost Horse. It's first blood to Ban Out Bunny.
Nyarko, why did he chase that? There was no reason to chase that. You got the Hecarim down to negative health. You won the trade. Your jungler stole the first camp. That's all you needed. Just get out.
It's over-eagerness by the bad guys to try to get a tempo advantage in this game the way that they did in the first match via the buff steal. And now, Super Swaggy wasn't even able to grab red buff. They just have to back off, and they're going to be behind on tempo in this one. The fact that Pebbles got that early gold, I think, bodes quite nicely for Ban Out Bunny, who need to win this game.
Yeah, Pants Check having to use the flash here fairly early as Master of Targon and Spastic hit level 2 first. Also not a good sign. The bot lane going well for Ban Out Bunny. Really just advantages all over the map at the moment, except in top lane where Shangdi's doing pretty okay once again.
It's the classic. Shangdi does have quite the weight on their shoulders now. They got to make up for the fact that they kind of ran it down mid, literally in the early minutes of this game. They have to dominate this Gnar in order to get their head above water and hopefully kind of make up for the fact that Koronic yet again is in a position where it's going to be tough to kill. First time it was due to the fact that they were piloting Zyra, and frankly, they did far better than ever expected. But now, this is such a difficult matchup for the Zed to ever do damage in.
Yeah, this is rough for quite a few of the members of the bad guys at the moment, but they do have some pretty great late game. If the Swain starts to stack, if the Senna stacks, if the Mordekaiser gets to 2-3 items, and they are heavily committed to this as we see Shangdi backing early, picking up a Cole here. So this bad guys comp is in it for the extra long haul here.
Shangdi kind of has to take whatever backs they can get, and I like the fact that they're going for a cheater recall because they had to commit that teleport to get back to lane after, like I said before, they died to Pebbles.
Yeah, Pebbles being engaged upon by Koronic and a Super Swaggy as well, but there's just nothing doing here. Look at the health bar of the Kasante. Does not care. Yes, Koronic has a small CS lead, but at the same time, it just feels so futile right now.
And Pebbles really hasn't fully cashed out. They're still just on Dorn's shield right now, and they're going to absorb this wave under tower. Most likely not actually being that far behind on CS versus Koronic. But Zed does have some priority. They're using this to try to figure out where Stephen Hawking is. The problem is Master of Targon has been covering this Hecarim, knowing that the bad guys are prone to some jungle shenanigans, and therefore we're in a position where Ban Out Bunny is able to just repel the advance of the mid lane and the jungle lane.
Yeah, this does put Master of Targon a little bit behind, who does not particularly care. However, what's more important is the lack of pressure in the bot lane, forcing Spastic to give up so much space, lets Zarkra and Pants Check get a whole lot of pressure on these turrets, get some early gold in pocket, and that'll help them reach their scaling points earlier. So, as much as I like the coverage here, there is a trade-off that Ban Out Bunny has to be aware of.
And this is going to be a reset for Pants Check and Zarkra right as the Dragon really becomes relevant in this one. Because Spastic still has not taken it back of their own, this could be a window for the bad guys to flex that early game power, go for this, especially given the fact that Koronic is still trying to establish some amount of priority in the mid lane. But Ban Out Bunny does notably have Pebblist up onto that Sheen now, so at the same time, this is very much an up-in-the-air situation. It really depends on how confident either of these teams are going in versus one another.
Yeah, I don't really expect Stephen Hawking to try and start this, given that they only have the boots, but it looks like they're going to do it anyway. The side of the bad guys not exactly responding quickly to this, so the Drake may just be taken here, despite the low itemization at the moment for Ban Out Bunny.
This is actually a pretty smart call. Obviously, Ban Out Bunny are kind of overstaying in the bot side of the map in regards to where they are item-wise, but the fact of the matter is the bad guys are kind of at a point where they aren't able to do a whole lot to contest. Super Swaggy is going to commit, but now, being so far down, it just kind of feels like this is all in favor of BOB. I mean, that's the Hecarim getting a kill. They're going to be further accelerated towards that level 6 that is so important for this champion. And the fact that they're able to pick up something prior to that for basically free is just such a huge comfort to this team that, like I said before, is down 0-1 in the series right now.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that Super Swaggy wasn't able to pick that up with the smite. They had a pretty good window there, but the coordination from Ban Out Bunny just too perfect. And getting the kill on top of that, really just icing on the cake. Super Swaggy still does have the clear advantage, but with this Sheen being picked up by the Hecarim, it just gets scarier and scarier. Once that level 6 comes, once we start seeing this Hecarim in lane, it's going to become very, very difficult for the bad guys to do anything good here.
And the fact that Shangdi top is not getting the kind of assistance that they did in game number 1, and they're also just not quite as dominant of a matchup, means that one of these highlight players for Blue Squad just isn't really being fed this game. Yes, they're doing a good job via CS control, keeping this game pretty even on gold, but we talked about the burdens of TBG last game, and while it isn't as much the case that they need to stomp early, it certainly would help them quite a bit. Now, I do think that Sebastian is probably going to fall here. They're struggling to get the Mega in our
He's
form.
going to get Mega.
Is trying to space away, but Sebastian is going low. They're going back under the tower. Stephen Hawking does not have level 6, so they will not be able to just ultimate and run down these two champions. So TBG, playing on the very edge, do manage to grab a kill for themselves.
Yeah, that is some nice play. It is kind of unfortunate that went to Super Swaggy there as opposed to the carry of Shangdi. But I suppose you take what you can get at this point. You need all the advantages you can have. Master of Targon and Panstech have found each other, but Spastic going in first is going to get a lot of damage down on this lane.
Yeah, no flash or anything available. Spastic is able to split this fight as Blitzcrank just flashes the wall, and that is going to be Kai'Sa picking up 1 for nothing in that bot lane play. Pebblist has the death bar taken away on them, and now Karonic is going to go in once more. Panstech is here to cover alongside Super Swaggy, but they're not even needed. Zed is actually able to win that 1v1. I was not expecting that whatsoever, Aulz.
Yeah, that was just some disrespect from Pebblist. You know, yes, the Cassante does have a whole lot of damage that they can absorb in their kit. However, All Out takes so many base stats that this early on, when all you have is a chain vest, if you go all out, the death mark will hurt. And Pebblist didn't respect that and paid for it very seriously there. Good on Karonic for reading that situation right, taking advantage of the early victories and of the CS gap that they have right now to really open this mid lane up for themselves.
And for the second game running, TBG have turned around our early game pessimism in a big way. They're now up on gold once again, and this is an eerily similar situation to a game that Ban Out Bunny lost. This time around, they don't have a scaling quite like they did with the Zeri Yuumi last time, and the bad guys clearly are just taking those early game bungles in stride. As long as they continue to put on the aggression, there's a way for them to just maintain their heads above water, and if they can continue their momentum in this one, all it takes is one bad team fight and Ban Out Bunny can find themselves super behind on tempo.
Yeah, however, this is a Ban Out Bunny team that's more able to absorb some of those mistakes because they are a very tanky squad right now. Like Pebblist right now taking a lot of damage. Karonic might be in trouble though as the Onslaught of Shadows does connect.
Oh, and that's a great stop of the blowback from the Blast Plant. Spastic is able to clear that one up. Even with Panstech firing off her Dawning Shadow, they are unable to protect their mid laner. And Ban Out Bunny still bare their teeth. They clearly have the ability to take this game.
Yeah, check those eyes. They are red and fearsome. This is a dangerous bunny on the Rift right now, Nyarko. But
yeah,
still, it's a gold lead for the bad guys. they're still keeping this game in their favor just a little bit by virtue of being better laners.
And the bad guys right now are going to have to really try to accelerate the pace of this very early game, because it kind of feels like pre-towers falling, they do struggle with macro, trying to figure out what Super Swaggy can actually go in on, and they have been punished a few times because of that. We're also seeing them just kind of chase kills a little bit too far. I mean, that was the name of the game for Shangdi prior to us seeing even the minions spawn and crash into one another, but Ban Out Bunny have also profited from Chronic going a little bit too far forward, and we're seeing that yet again. They're trying to zoom back towards their tower. They're able to wiggle out of Blitz.
Never punished Nyarko.
Safe this time. But no flash available. This Zed is really living on the ragged edge, and they have to be very lucky that Master of Targon is not landing these rocket grabs more.
Yeah, however, we are going to see these teams fighting over this Drake. Master of Targon rooted up again and again. It's going to take a fair bit of damage from this Drake. Not quite what you want to see early on, but they are going to try and start this. This is an interesting fight for them to take, as Master of Targon already having that mana shield popped is going to be out of this fight.
Yeah, Pebblitz is also out of this fight. Look at the aggression. Zarkra just buying so much space for their team with their Demonic Ascension, and Super Swaggy from over the wall is able to kill Stephen Hawking 69. The Cassante also falling means that is a 2 for nothing in favor of CBG, and they're also going to be able to pick up the dragon. Top side of the map, Shangdi's in a lot of trouble versus Sebastian. They're going to die to tower aggro there, so at least BOB is able to get something back, but the fact of the matter is, that could very much be the team fight that I was alluding to earlier, Aulz. From here, TBG could just have the momentum.
Yeah, they are still down in kills. The Kaisa is 2-0-1, has the fully completed Stormrazor. So Spastic could be on the road to carry if they can continue playing safe and racking up the points. They have plenty of tank in front of them. The question is, will any of these members of the bad guys just spec into a couple of pieces of armor and really shut down this Kaisa?
It's kind of that push and pull of this individual strengths of these teams coming back to the fray, though. This time around, Ban Out Bunny just once again looked very awkward in group scenarios. They took so much punishment prior to the bad guys really pulling the trigger off of Zarkra, just pushing forward with Demonic Ascension. And at that point, Ban Out Bunny were barely a grouped team. They were just picked apart. And now, while Shangdi is going to go super deep on this one, it's going to actually lead to Super Swaggy walking in, stealing away the Rift Herald, picking up the Eye, and they're even able to get a kill versus the Hecarim before they are finally shut down by Sebastian.
And Shangdi, getting launched out of that fight, was able to pick up a kill on Pebblitz on the backside. The worst of all possible worlds here, Nyarko. Everything that you couldn't want for Ban Out Bunny. You lose the Herald, you lose kills. The J4 is big. Shangdi now has extra gold in pocket, having already completed the Rift Herald. The Rylai's is working now on their second item, likely to be either the Jack Shows or the Leandries here, depending on how they choose to build. Again, the bad guys starting to find their wins as the laning phase ends. They're even going to take first turret here before the tower plate fall. In fact, Spastic could be in trouble with Chronic running out of health a little bit faster.
Chronic with a little bit of a juke, but that just puts them deeper into enemy territory, and so I imagine now it's going to be a gradual chase down before finally Ban Out Bunny gets the kill. Although they have to expend a lot to try to kill Chronic. That's a flash plus the onslaught of shadows. However, Zarkra mid's also in a lot of trouble. I love the fact Sebastian is committing here with the teleport, and now the bad guys has to try to mirror this. Master of Targon's in a lot of trouble. Zarkra is playing like a carry for some reason, just able to take all of Pebblitz's abuse, and now Sebastian's gone too deep as Shangdi is here to follow up on Pants Check. There's the root, and there's the kill. Swain just walks it right back out, and TBG yet again are going to be able to flex that wallet diff.
Yeah, you can't fight a Demonic Ascension Swain at this point in the game. Just too much healing. You don't have any heal cut on that squad. You can't stop the Swain from surviving unless you have a hyper carry there to cut through. And with Spastic not in that fight, they really didn't. Now Pebblitz being caught up, Pebblitz being locked down,
and they're going to continue
is gone.
The Cataclysm! Oh my god, Stephen Hawking jumps in, but they don't have onslaught of shadow. Shangdi is just going to obliterate them from behind the tier 2 tower. The bad guys are so confident, and they are getting paid dividends for that ability to just run down Ban Out Bunny.
Completely fearless in what was effectively a 4v5 there. As look, the Zed has not even considered joining the team, still split pushing on this bot side, flourishing, moisturized, unbothered in their lane. Just vibing here is Chronic.
I mean, the bad guys are vibing, flourishing in everybody's lanes right now. They're so pushed up into ban out Bunny, but Red Squad is so far behind they cannot leave their base, and we are seeing a clone of game number one. If anything, this is even more dominant for the bad guys. We are at 16 minutes in. They are up 6,000 gold, and really, the only thing that ban out Bunny can be happy about right now is the fact that we are not 19, 20 minutes in where Baron Nashor is right on the horizon. They will have one more fight, one more attempt to try to get map presence before we see these major neutral objectives start falling.
Yeah, they also need to be a little bit helpful that it is Chemtech Drake. Certainly it's a valuable Drake, don't get me wrong, but it's not as directly impactful as, say, a Hextech Drake or an Infernal Drake would be with this particular team comp from the bad guys. So that's one win condition that's going to be a little bit easier to adapt around for Ban Out Bunny should they lose that, as we do see the third Drake of the game coming up, looking to be fairly well controlled by this bad guy squad as they are all over that river, which is lit up like a Christmas tree.
TBG will not have this contested. Ban Out Bunny cannot afford to walk up. They are posturing, but this is mostly just to clear out some vision. Stephen Hawking might actually try to rush the pit right now as they know that Chronic is on the far end of this. But honestly, I just don't see a way that TBG loses this. Zarkra is going to respect the fact that Master of Targon was kind of cheating towards their position, but Blue Squad is backing off for the time being. It looks like they're just going to try to go for a re-engage after Super Swaggy takes the red buff. Imagine we're going to be seeing the spear over the wall right now. Chronic is on the flank. Here comes Pants Check. They're pulled in by the rocket grab, but is it enough? Ascena is going to fall, but nobody has touched Zarkra so far. Super Swaggy is jumping right into the melee. Here comes Shangdi as well, just putting the bonk down onto Master of Targon. Hecarim is dead. Pebbles is trying to do what they can with their all-out, but they have now shredded their resistances, and they can no longer play underfoot of Zarkra, who just stands right on top of Spastic. It's a double kill for Shangdi right now, and Pebbles is not long for this world. They are trying to run away from under this tier 2 tower. Zarkra's taking too many shots. They're finally shut down by the Kaisa. Super Swaggy is gonna chase all the way into the base, and they will just drop the flag to get the ace.
Yeah, they're going to have to wait in that base for a hot minute here. Hope that the Blitzcrank doesn't find them before they can get over the wall. Oh, they fail the flag and drag. Nyarko, this is sad. Super Swaggy is going to fall here. Unfortunate misplay and an 800 gold shutdown going over to the Hecarim on the back of such a good play. A minor misstep that just feels so bad and probably keeps the team from being able to secure this Drake, what with Hecarim being on the field.
That was definitely excessive overreach from the bad guys, desperate to get the ace. Honestly, saw visions of Shangdi at the very beginning of this game. I mean, there was no reason for both Zarkra and Super Swaggy to die there. I think that only one of them really needed to. Even if they wanted to commit to the kill, which I really didn't see a reason for, Pebbles was well and truly scared off, and I don't think there was any way that they were going to be able to...
Ooh, TP here from behind.
But
even Hawking's in trouble.
Yeah, they seem to be taking the long game where it's just like, yeah, we're just going to take another advantageous fight. They're going to commit with that teleport in. Shangdi is going to just walk out. Ban Out Bunny know that they cannot initiate at all in this one. Sebastian is having their time with their rage bar tick down as well. So Mega Gnar probably is not going to be here for most of the fight. Shangdi knows that this is the case. They yoink Master of Targon. This Blitzcrank is trying to get out of dodge, but here's the flank yet again. However, Chronic is taking a lot of poke damage from Pants Check this time, is able to just kite this out, shield up the whole team, and now even Pebbles can't take them down as Spastic is chased by Super Swaggy and company, and this time there's no tier 2 tower to save these escaping members of Ban Out Bunny. It is yet again a near ace with only Pebbles walking away from this one.
They still haven't taken the Drake though, Nyarko. Clearly that's a win for Ban Out Bunny.
I think that the bad guys are like, yeah, every time you walk up, we're fine not taking the Drake if it means we get another 4 or 5 kills. They have 0 map presence at this point. They're just going to lose their inhibitor mid for this.
Yeah, this is, all jokes aside, utterly disastrous once again for Ban Out Bunny. You lose so much pressure every time you lose a fight unnecessarily like this. They are going to get Pants Check splashed out of it on the backside, but they are likely still going to, there it goes, losing that inhibitor tier 1. Shangdi is fighting 2, fighting 3 now. Despite Pebbles going all out, I think Shangdi does eventually fall here to the combined might of the entire Ban Out Bunny squad.
And
Welcome
luckily
back to
for
the real
Ban Out
world.
Bunny,
It sucks.
yeah, for Ban Out Bunny, the thing is, bad guys haven't really rallied in such a way to immediately rush down the Baron Nashor while we see the full mob. So that does mean that they're just kind of able to pick up on Mordekaiser for free and then commit to the rest of the map to try to restore vision. The problem is they are down a damningly large amount of gold at this point, more than 9,000. And I always talk about the 10K milestone as really the point at which nobody's able to really come back within a reasonable game. But frankly, this is just as bad. Even with Zarko kind of inting, looking for vision of their own, I think that Blue Squad is perfectly happy to just sacrifice this Swain, as now they're just going to be able to try to pick up Stephen Hawking in return. Great flashback there from Koronic. Pants Check does all the damage that they need to. Now, are these two too far up? That is a question that has to be answered here. With the flash forward, Master Targon is going to come up. No dice on yet another hook. And I think that this is at least going to be 1 or 2 kills. Traded back over to TBG before these 2 carries fall. Here we see yet again another blast of light cutting through the shadow. But the Beastian will be able to endure it and take down the bot lane of TBG. And yet again, we see a neutral objective delayed because of so much fighting. The bad guys are unable to get the Baron Nashor right now.
Yeah, we're pushing closer and closer to 2 kills a minute here in Nyarko. This has been an incredibly bloody game. 21-14 so far with only 21 minutes on the clock. And it looks like we're going to see more fighting in this jungle. Shangdi and Super Swaggy may be alone, maybe he's in, but they do not fear. They do not care. They're going in.
I think that they don't care about the fact they're giving gold over to Ban Out Bunny right now. That being said, they're sustaining for freaking ever. Stephen Hawking just dies, and I spoke too damn soon. Zarkra's gonna be able to fall off of this play. Sebastian, even with their Megadar, is unable to do anything as it's a double kill for the Jarvan. Master of Targon's gonna fall as well. Make it a triple for the jungle of the bad guys. And it's just a straight up living nightmare now for Ban Out Bunny. Apparently, you don't need to ban out the bunny against them. You can just wreck face by winning all these individual lanes. TBG, so damn strong, are going to grab the inhibitor yet again. And I mean, this game is over, Aulz. It's been over for what it feels like 10 minutes now.
That was 2.5 v5, Nyarko. Zarkra,
I thought they were dead.
Prior to showing up, Zarkra just contributed to Visions of Empire. And that was all that Swaggy and Shangdi needed. So tanky, so big. The Gore Drinker doing so much. The Conqueror on both of these members just keeping them so healthy. It's ridiculous, Nyarko, what the power these tanky members have. As Sebastian, that was a single trade. That is half of the health of an off tank. That is illegal, my friend.
There's no way for Ban Out Bunny to move through these choke points anymore. The control is just too great from TBG, who, like you're kind of saying, are playing as armies by themselves. They are able to spread out across the map. They're able to dictate the pace of wherever Ban Out Bunny goes. And that means that we're at a point in the game where they can take Baron at their leisure. They aren't really trying to aggressively push for it or anything like that. They want Ban Out Bunny to walk up. They want more kills in the back pocket. They don't want to risk this game if they don't have to.
Yeah, they can really play this nice and slow as they are looking for potentially some extra picks as this Ban Out Bunny team desperately moves through the jungle here trying to contest this Baron. Stephen Hawking has to be very, very careful about moving alone.
Oh, Master of Targon is going to get hit by the Visions of Empire. They're slowed. They're knocked up. They're pulled back by Shangdi. It is just the multi-man handoff to see who gets the kill onto the Blitzcrank. Sebastian will be able to just jump out of the Cataclysm and get to safety with a hop and skip, or at least get into the base. To safety is another matter because Super Swaggy just follows up. And at this point, I think that the bad guys can get a kill from all the way across the map at this point. Pants Check is just going to send a sniper something. There seems to be no range that the gate cannot engage from. And now because of that, they're moving on to the Nexus turret. Stephen Hawking is going to die as soon as they pop their onslaught of shadows. Shangdi is able to put the Kaisa inside of the Death Realm behind these Nexus turrets. And the bad guys are able to claim this one Baronless, which is quite the accomplishment. Look at the gold at the end of this one. 13K in the bad guys' favor, and it's probably going to turn into a little bit more as Spastic and Master Targon are yet to fall yet again.
Yeah, they might pick up a kill here on the backside onto Koronic just to make themselves feel a little bit better, but 29-16 is the final score as the bad guys prove themselves the heel of the league in need of being taken down 2-0 here in Game 1 in convincing fashion, Nyarko.
This is just a brutal start to the season for Ban Out Bunny. They tried their best, but unfortunately, neither of their looks here in these drafts seems to have worked out. The bad guys truly on their villain arc right now. It's the confident play. It's the fact that they literally sent their jungler to go into game number 1, and they still walked away with crushing victories versus Ban Out Bunnies. That is highlighting them as a standout team to watch here in the OCL for this season.
Yeah, absolutely. I will be looking to see if any team is going to knock them down. It's going to be off the weakness of their early game. But if they can shore that up, if they can become better at not making mistakes in the early game, they are going to be very, very difficult to beat here.
All right. Well, this was a great inaugural series here for the OCL, and I think it speaks to the strength of these teams that Bad Out Bunny is not out of this one at all. They certainly can come back. There's plenty of other teams that'll give them a run for their money, but I don't even think that they're the bottom contenders or anything like that. The strength of these teams is something to be admired. The bad guys, though, certainly the highlight of this week so far in Aulz. We're going to be back for the next Friday and a few more Fridays going forward as we feature much more of the regular season.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. Every minute on the deck with you is fun, Nyarko. Thank you for being out here. And thank you to all of our viewers for coming out here on the inaugural stream of OCL Season 5. We love having you guys. We love being a part of this community, and we appreciate each and every one of y'all.
Yeah, shout outs to War Eagle on the production side of things as well, ensuring that we can actually run these broadcasts. They're getting the hang of things, so, any technical delays, stuff like that are going to be ironed out. But honestly, even here, this was a very standout performance from the backside of all of this. Making sure that we could actually go live is quite a feat unto itself, as obviously OCL assets could be a little bit wonky here and there. Credit to them once again, and credit to all of you guys watching, like Aulz said. But that is it for us tonight on this broadcast. We hope to see you guys around, so drop a follow onto the Twitch channel, but we'll have to see you guys next week.